Hey everyone, I am super excited just to really get started. So, hello, I'm Zuri, and this is The Creator's Purpose. To everyone that is watching, this is Marcellus Mayberry. He is an actor, an entertainer, a singer. He is so many different things. If I forgot something, Marcellus, this is your chance to say, what are the
That's
things that you do?
that's perfect with me.
Okay, so let's go ahead and just start from the beginning. You are out in Cali and you are on this journey in the entertainment business. How did you get started?
I got started really in college. In undergrad, I was studying biology, but one of the biggest extracurricular activities I was doing was in a drama performance troupe. And I didn't know it at the time, but I really enjoyed acting. I didn't know that about myself, but the more I auditioned and started to get cast in plays, I developed this deep love for it. But at the same time, I'm studying biology, so I'm not taking it as seriously as a lot of other people that I was in plays with. So I thought, I'm here to study biology. I'm going to be a dentist or a doctor or something. I'm not really. This is just something to keep me happy outside of the classroom and outside of studying.
And this
So
is at Jackson State, right?
yes,
I noticed that you have that on. I'm so glad that I wore this
University.
green today
Uh,
for
oh yeah, because you went to
the
Kentucky
state.
State. Yeah, I've heard of that school.
You know,
Yeah,
it's
but
all HBCU love.
yes, HBCU love all the way. I love all HBCUs. Like it's a
Yes,
nice tight knit community. We fight amongst each other, but we got each other's back out in the
that
world for sure.
period. So you
But
were
yeah,
studying biology and in this troop.
yes. Most of my extracurricular was something having to do with the arts. I was acting. I was on a dance team. I was in a gospel choir. I was singing on the yard with my friends, writing songs and stuff. So I was finding myself in college.
Hmm.
When you get there, if you are a person like me, 18, you don't know who you are yet. And you don't really know what you want to do. You do what your family or your teachers told you to do. Go to college. You want to be a doctor. I think you'd be a good doctor. You should study biology. So that was sort of the path I was on. But
Hmm.
while there, I discovered this whole other side of myself that I'm a creative, and
Hmm.
I sang for fun in high school and stuff. And then my last year of high school, I did choir, but I didn't take it seriously. I just thought it was something fun to do. But that experience just birthed this passion. And I was told,
Well,
you have raw
passion.
talent for acting. You should act. And I was like, I don't know. I was not confident in it because
Mhm.
I wasn't taking classes like everyone else I was in plays with. I wasn't studying theater. I was just getting on stage with nothing but God given talent. So
Mm.
um, I was just like, I wasn't recognizing that, God gave me something special. I thought
Mhm.
everybody could act because I'm like, I don't take classes. I'm just,
It just came to you.
yeah. And God does that sometimes. He will just give
Yes.
you something to set you apart. You may not always recognize it uh,
Mhm.
because there were some people in the theater department who were theater majors. And they're like, how is how is he booking a play and he is over in the science department?
It's just something
God
about
God
you.
was just like, "I'll set you aside." Uh,
Mhm.
so it started there, but still, a lack of confidence held me
Mhm.
back. So I would go through periods where I was like, I'm ready. I'm going to do it. And one of those periods was 2015. And I got in
Mhm.
my car and I drove from Texas to California.
Tell the people how far away these places are.
Whew. That was, it's supposed to be a 26-hour drive, 22 to
Mhm.
26-hour drive. I peeled. I did it in 18, 19 hours.
We have
It was a very, very long drive, especially driving out of San Antonio, Texas. You have to drive across Texas. To get out of Texas, it's like basically the entire day you are going through Texas. And the
Mhm.
rest of it, you can fly through New Mexico and Arizona and
Mhm.
think it's California. But Texas is like this big chunk. And the whole way there, I'm in the car and I'm just like, I'm going to be an actor. I'm stepping out on faith. I'm doing this. And I
Yeah.
get to California, and as soon as I crossed the state line, there was a big rainbow that came out, and I was like, this guy's promised.
Oh, come on. Okay, pause,
Yeah.
because I want the people to understand you were leaving Texas. What all was in Texas?
Family. I left grad school. I decided to go to grad school. Instead of studying acting, I
Mhm,
decided to study genetics.
mhm,
Again, just not having faith in my abilities and resting on something that I'm good at. Science was
mhm,
always interesting to me, but it was never anything I was ever passionate about. It's
mhm.
interesting, it's nice, it's fun. I'm a nerd, so it's
That's
cool.
all right.
But
Nerds are
it's not
cool.
my passion. Oh yeah, we're cool now, but back in the day, back in the day, it wasn't all that. But yeah, so that was another thing. I left grad school. I didn't finish my program
Mhm.
because I got into a conservatory program in California.
Oh.
And that was my first time saying, I got to get to California. At the time, I didn't have the money for it. So
Mhm,
I was like, well, if I can't do this program, I still have to go out there. I just knew I had to get to California.
mhm,
So when I did eventually pack up my car and drive, and I got here, for about a month, I pursued acting for about a month, and I was not ready. I was
mm.
not ready for rejection. I was not ready for the work. I still had to find a really good job to, help me along the way.
Tell the
That was
people.
all fear. That was all fear. I was not ready. God was ready for me to get to California.
Yeah.
And I heard it clear as day before I left, 2 weeks before I left Texas to go to California. I had been praying for a
Mhm,
year. Say,
mm.
God, Lord, is it time for me to go to California? And I would hear nothing. And if I don't hear nothing or I don't get a sign from God, I don't do nothing. That's
Right.
to me, that's a no.
Yeah.
If I don't feel it in here and God ain't saying confirming it, no. And the week before, 2 weeks before I left for California, I prayed one more time. I said, Lord, I, things are lining up. Is it time for me to go to California? And it was the first time in my life that I heard God clear as day say, go,
Yes.
go. That was the first time. And I'll tell you about the second time
Okay.
later
Yeah.
because it's going to connect. So he said go. So I was like, boom. 2 weeks later, I get here. Now he said go to California. He didn't say Marcellus go to California and start acting. He said go to California. So I knew I
It's all in the details of
yes,
things.
yes. He said go, but he didn't say go out there and start acting.
Mhm,
So I get out here and I try to start acting, but it was not working out. I was staying with my cousin. I was staying with my cousin in Orange County, pretty
mhm.
far from LA, trying to make that drive back and forth. I had a 2002 Impala. It was a lot going on, and
Mhm,
but that the circumstances coupled with the fear and mentally not being ready.
mhm.
As I said, I had no training in acting, so any auditions I was getting, that was just God.
Yeah,
And I would get into the auditions for TV and film, and they look at my resume. My resume was full of theater productions.
yeah,
And what I started to get from a lot of casting associates was, well, you don't have the training. Most of your experience is in theater. This is TV
yeah,
film, totally different vibe. A lot of times they get theater actors who come into do screen tests and audition for TV and film, and they overact because as
mhm.
a theater performer, you have to perform for the entire auditorium.
Yep, to the back of the
The
room.
last person on the last row. They have
Mhm.
to see your face. They have to hear you. You have to project. And TV and film is way more subtle because they have cameras that's going to catch everything. They're going to catch the most subtle eyebrow raise or a look. Like, so I kept getting a lot of that. You need the
Mhm.
training. You need to do this. And so I let that push me into complacency. I
Yeah.
found a good job, great job, overpaid, great job, wonderful job. I was
That's
comfortable
beautiful,
eating, and
'cause LA ain't cheap.
no, it is not. That's another thing. That's another thing. So I'm comfortable. I'm like,
Mhm.
all my needs are met. I got rid of that Impala. Here we are in 2021. I'm driving a C300 Mercedes. I got
Mhm.
a townhouse. Like
Oh,
I'm good. I'm good. I got a 3 level townhouse.
come
Whole
on.
like God stunned it. God
Yeah.
stunned it on me.
But that was from 2015 to 2021. So
Yes.
it wasn't like an instant thing.
No.
It was
Oh no
over
no no no.
6
That
years.
was a
That's
journey.
important
God
for
kept
people to
me
know.
every way. No, God kept me every way.
Yes.
So He carried me when I
Yeah.
decided I'm gonna put acting on the side. I
Mhm.
still had that passion for it, but I was like, I gotta eat. Made every excuse. Every time I thought about it, I always had an excuse. No, I gotta work. I gotta do this. I gotta pay
Listen,
my
bills
rent.
are here.
Yeah, and they don't go nowhere.
Right.
So I found myself in 2021 after years climbing the corporate ladder. I was succeeding at my job. Got promoted 3 times,
Mhm.
making great money, taking care of myself. But in 2020, when the pandemic hit,
Yeah.
they allowed us to work remotely
Mhm.
from home. So for a year, I'm working remotely. I'm at home and it's me and my thoughts. It's self reflection, it's conversations with God, it's self evaluation. And I'm having these breakthroughs with me and God because when I was in my work environment, especially being one of the only Black men in the building,
Mhm.
for years, was the only Black man. And then towards the end of my career there, they brought in another guy, but he was in a whole other department. So working in that type of environment where you don't see anybody else like you put on this mask.
Yep.
You have to, you don't have to, but you choose to make everyone feel comfortable because it just makes everything smoother. You do
Mhm.
that smile that, you know, even when
Everything
you don't
is
feel
just
like it,
fine.
yeah, people are. I had so many people like, I don't, Marcellus, I can't tell what's going on in your mind. Yeah, are you happy? It's like I don't grin all day. I'm a
Mhm.
happy guy, but I'm not gonna, grin and do all that all day. So being out of that environment where I have to put on the clothes and the mask and be this other person for
Mhm.
corporate America, being at home, I'm myself. I'm by myself. And it's just me and God. I got so much
Mhm.
time to talk to God because nobody's looking at me, nobody's calling me into a meeting over here, or I gotta go over here. So I decided I'm gonna take some acting classes. Finally.
Right.
So at the time, a lot of the studios started to do online classes.
Come on, online.
Perfect.
Yes.
Because I live in the Inland Empire. I live about 40 miles east of Los Angeles.
Mhm.
So you doing online classes? That means I don't have to drive to LA?
Tell
Bet.
tell them how much the gas is.
Right now, gas is about $5.
Right. I
Yeah.
just
A
I just
gallon.
need the people to understand all the things
It's
that
not
come.
cheap. It's not cheap at all. God makes a way.
Right.
He has to. You gotta have faith that he's gonna make a way.
I'll just say I want these details because we have these dreams and these
Yes.
things, and even like we feel like, okay, God, you're giving this thing to me.
Mhm.
And but God is also a God that's like, He's not just going like just He's not a magician, he's not a
No.
wizard, he's not a genie. You gonna still experience all the
Yes.
rest of life
Yes.
and the realities of life as
Yes.
you're following
Oh,
him.
yeah, definitely. There were so many times where California has a huge housing crisis.
Mm,
Um, it's it's very challenging sometimes to find
mhm,
an apartment. It's very challenging to find a room for it sometimes.
mhm,
Like the pricing is it's different. It's
yeah.
very expensive.
But this isn't to say that he can't do it.
Oh
It's
yeah,
just to
yeah.
not go in
Yeah, don't
blindly.
get me wrong. Don't get me wrong. And don't let that stop you because when
Right.
I moved out here, that was the main thing a lot of people around me would say. You want to move to California? It's expensive. There's a bunch
Mhm.
of homeless people. It's crazy. But God told me to go. So I'm
Right.
going.
Right.
I asked his permission
Come
for a
on.
whole year. I asked God. I wanted to be obedient
Mm-hmm.
and wait because, and I'm so glad I waited on Him because His
Mm-hmm.
timing is so perfect.
Mm-hmm.
It's so perfect. So I'm spending time with myself, working remotely, and I take those classes in 2020. I'm making connections with my classmates and my instructors. They're giving me great advice. That same year, for years after trying to get an agent, I finally get an agent.
That's
I'm
fancy.
just like, man, and what's interesting is I got an agent in the middle of December. In the middle of September, I tweeted, and it was nobody but the spirit.
Mm-hmm.
I tweeted with just tweeted. I was like, I will have an agent before the end of the year, and I put my phone
Oh.
up. Then a couple months later, I have an agent. So by this point, I'm like, man, like God stunned on me so hard. Like, I've always wanted to take classes. I'm able to take classes at all these studios
Mm-hmm.
online,
Mm-hmm.
face to face with these instructors. Yes, it's virtual, but I'm still learning my craft. I'm still honing it. I'm still getting better. I'm learning all these different techniques, and it's just I was blown away, and I'm just like, man, this pandemic is really opening my eyes. So, still working. My agent starts sending me stuff in 2021, and I'm coming up with every excuse when she sends me an audition. Marcellus,
Listen.
this is due in 2 days. I'm just like, oh, I gotta work. I'm looking at the shoot dates, the fitting dates. I won't be able to take that much time off from work. Every excuse. So, she's like, I told you needed to be ready and serious about this. You were not ready. She didn't drop me,
Mm-hmm.
but she recognized that at that time I was still afraid.
Mm-hmm.
So the beginning of 2021, I'm still remote, but I earned a promotion.
You fancy.
And I'm like, man, like my productivity had shot up that year from home, and some things happened, and I was offered this really good position, but they wanted me to come into the office to train for a little bit and then go back remote. So I'm
Mm-hmm.
thinking, okay, that's fine. I can do that. But as soon as I get into the office, that offer goes off the table. And they're like, we want you here, like in the office every day. And in my mind, I'm like, I just did this job from home for a year.
And your productivity went
Shut
like
up. To
all
the
the way
point where
up.
they were bringing me into the office to videotape me for a work day and to
Mm-hmm.
figure out my work habits, my style. They videotaped me, and then they also interviewed me, which felt like an interrogation. Like get in my mind, like what was going through your head when you decided to do this? How
Mm-hmm.
did you come up with that number? What keyboard shortcuts are you using? And things
Mm-hmm.
like that. So I'm like, if I'm that bomb and I'm telling you I want to be at home and you're saying no, but I've already disproven this myth that
Mm-hmm.
being in a work environment is not the only way for a company to have success.
Mm-hmm.
So they say you have to be here. So again, I'm like, man, I don't want to do this, but I'm going to do it. And I did it all the way up until June. And I kept asking, I said, is there any way you'll be able to let me work from home? They're like, no. So, okay. It's like, okay, I'll ask again tomorrow uh, to another manager. So I go home and I pray to God. I said, Lord, is it time for me to leave? And he didn't say anything. I didn't hear anything. But I said, you know what? I'm gonna pray again tomorrow. Let me give you a break. Get to work. That morning I prayed. I said, Lord, if it's time for me to go, I will go. And I have 100% faith in you that it's time.
Mm-hmm.
So it's the end of the workday. I walk over to my supervisor. I said, so what's the verdict? And they're like, well, right now it's just not a good time. And I smiled. Said, okay. I walked over back to my space, typed up an email, sat there, and God said, send it. And that's the second time I heard God ever in my life speak. I will never forget those 2 times. Go
Yes.
and send it. He
Come
said, send
on.
it. And I pressed send and I walked out of there. I gave him a 1 week's notice. I
Yeah.
was gonna give him
He
2.
was like, "I'm not playing with y'all."
Oh yeah. So and as I'm walking out of there, I'm like, Marcellus, you just left the highest paying job you ever had. Like, what are you gonna do? Because you got rent, you got car note. And God was like, you good,
Mm.
good. And the not even a week later, I booked my first commercial
Yay.
and I booked a short film.
You are fancy. I have
And
to be closer.
so and that brings me back to timing. Every other time I wanted to pursue acting 100%
Mhm.
would not have worked out as perfectly as it did when God told me to.
Mhm.
Not when I wanted to. I waited. I
Mhm.
waited for God to speak to me and to
Mhm.
tell me because there were so many times before I wanted to leave my job and I didn't because of fear and also because I wasn't asking God's permission. It was
Yeah.
just me being like, I want to do what I want to do.
Yeah.
It's time. I wasn't thinking about God's timing, but God's
Mhm.
timing is perfect
Mhm.
because I left one job and here I am getting paid for what I really want to do less than a week from leaving that job. And it was not, it wasn't always, it wasn't a smooth transition there. Like that whole day after I left, it was still like God over here saying, yo, relax. And me, my thinking and my understanding over here, like Marcellus, start sending some resumes out. Get some stuff together, Marcellus.
Mhm.
Marcellus, you got contacts, you've built connections at this
Mhm.
job, you know people in the industry. Just go somewhere else.
Mhm.
So it was all of that back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. But God has kept me. It'll be what? It's been almost a year now. I'm 4 months from a year without a 9 to 5, a traditional 9 to 5. So
Mhm.
man, it took a while, but I'm grateful that it happened when it happened. It was the perfect time for it to happen.
Mhm.
It was the absolute perfect time. God's timing is perfect. Um, I audition every week,
Yeah.
and that's a whole other that comes with a whole other set of challenges. Um,
Mm.
and as I said before, the timing was perfect because Marcellus in 2021 and Marcellus in 2015, two totally different guys.
Yeah.
Marcellus in 2021 can handle a business that you are going to get a lot of no's.
Yeah.
You're going to get a lot of doors closed in your face. Most of it is business, and it's very challenging not to take it personally.
Mhm.
But Marcellus in 2021 can deal with that.
Yeah.
Marcellus in 2021 understands that everything ain't for you, and
Mhm.
what's for you is for you. Marcellus in 2015, if I'll put it this way, in January, I auditioned every single week, got callbacks for some, got nothing for some, didn't book anything.
Mhm.
And I was still happy
Yeah.
and smiling and appreciative.
Yeah.
Me in 2015, I do a month of auditioning and I ain't booked nothing. I quit. I'm done. I'm done. I'm
Right.
done. I'm gonna go back over here. I'm gonna sit in this job and I'm gonna
Mhm.
work and I'm gonna bury my head and that's just how it is. So God knew that, and I didn't know, God knew that I needed to toughen up
Yeah.
spiritually.
He's so mindful of us.
Yes, my faith wasn't strong enough when I first got
Mm.
to California.
Mm.
God carried me every single step from 2015 to 2021. Like there were so many times I'm thinking, Lord, what's going on? Because rent's due, uh, car needs some work,
Mhm.
and out of nowhere, the next day everything's fine.
Mhm.
Nobody but God. Nobody can ever convince me that God won't set you apart.
Yeah.
Nobody can ever convince me that God does not show favor to certain people and that his grace isn't sufficient,
Yeah.
because there were so many moments I have countless examples of times in California where I was just like, I don't know what I'm gonna do. I'm sitting there in my apartment on my couch, like, Lord, I think I'm gonna have to go back to Texas or something, tuck my tail, go home,
Listen.
go back home to Chicago.
Hmm.
I
And that
know,
temptation is always there. That
yes,
feeling of,
yes,
I can always just do this. And
yeah,
even other people sometimes be like,
mhm,
you
yeah,
could just do this. And it's like,
yeah,
but what's
but God,
on the other side of me walking with God?
yes, and trusting Him.
Yeah.
It's all about trusting Him. So all those years of dealing with all the challenges that come with living in California and
Mhm.
come with wanting to be in this industry.
Yeah.
It changed me as a person. It changed my faith. It changed my outlook on life. It changed my outlook on the industry. Taking these
Mhm.
classes made me a better performer, a better actor, a better student.
Mhm.
And it was like God knew. God knew I wasn't ready.
Mhm.
God knows when you were not ready.
Mhm.
And he knew I wasn't. I thought I was. I thought, man, I'm driving to California. Give me a month. I'm gonna be famous. I'm gonna be on
Right.
like 3 movies, TV shows. God knew I wasn't ready. God knew it. So
But I think one thing that you said as far as the classes part, I think
yes,
that's so important because
mhm,
we can, God gives us these gifts and he
yes,
gives them without repentance. But
mhm,
that is not to say that we don't have more to learn.
yes,
Like you can go
absolutely.
to some places real arrogant,
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yes. Yes.
just feeling like I'm God's favorite, so I'm
Mhm,
automatically being here. And
yeah.
God is like, I want you to be able to get some places,
Mhm.
but you're gonna have to humble yourself
Oh
also.
yeah. Yes. Yes. And sometimes God will give you a gift and you won't even appreciate it.
Mm,
You won't understand that that gift will enhance your other gifts and open
yeah.
doors for you. When I got here and I was trying to act for many years, I kept getting singing opportunities.
Come
And I'm
on.
up here.
Listen, people who are y'all that is watching, when y'all watch this brother right here can sing. Okay, go ahead.
So I'm constantly trying to get acting opportunities. And what keeps coming to my doorstep is singing opportunities.
Mhm,
And I'm sitting up here frustrated, like, man, I don't want to sing. I want to be an actor. Like, why? Like,
mhm,
why do I keep getting all these singing opportunities? Like, really upset with God for giving me a gift that
yeah,
I could use to get some money and get paid for.
right.
Like, I can use my gift to get money and take care of myself. But I'm sitting up here upset with God because that ain't what I want to do. And one of the acting roles I booked um, last year was for a music video for Robert Glasper, Killer Mike, Big Crit DJ, Chicago Kid, where I played a preacher.
Mhm,
That opportunity only came to me because I'm a singer.
hmm,
They only reached out to a music producer that I worked with who was looking for choir singers, and
mhm,
he has all of our headshots. So the producer is thinking, oh, he wants some singers, and they ended up seeing my headshot and be like, can we get him to play the preacher? Had I not been singing with this man for years, I would
right.
not have got that opportunity
That's
to be
crazy.
featured in this music video. Something I've always wanted to be in a music video since I was a kid. And
But
then,
the funny thing about this, and I'm only saying this because I know you, you're originally from Chicago.
yes,
So that's even more
yes,
amazing to me, like, just
mhm,
how all these things will just line up.
yes, absolutely. So yeah, God, He has a very funny way of reminding you, hey, appreciate what I gave you. Don't
Yeah.
take it for granted and don't be ungrateful because you have a gift. You can sing, Marcellus. I know you want to be an actor, but that singing will get your foot in the door sometimes.
Mhm.
And it's amazing. I even remember once uh, I got to sing at Hulu headquarters in Santa Monica for their Black History program,
Mhm.
and I'm singing and I'm done, and I brought my cousin with me, and I go over to get a drink, and this man walks up to me. He's just like, "Thank you so much for coming out. You were very talented. We're very impressed with you. You did a wonderful job." And I was like, "Oh man, I don't have any business cards on me or anything," but I
Right.
was like, "Thank you so much." And he walks off. One of the Hulu employees comes up to me, and she's like, "Do you know who you were just talking to?" I was like, "Oh no, that's one of the guys." And she's like, "That's the CEO of Hulu."
Oh!
Marcellus, you want to be an actor, and you just had the full attention of the president of one of the biggest streaming services in the
Right.
world. Like, what are you doing, man? So
Oh my gosh.
that's another thing. Singing got me that opportunity, and I also learned a lesson from that. Keep some cards on you because you just never know who you're gonna get. So
Mhm.
yeah, it's been very very interesting for sure.
That's just amazing having known you for a little while, but only seeing things from the outside, and now to be able to hear the whole story and just hear how God has literally just kind of positioned you and been mindful and um he's been patient, but then he's
Yeah,
like built up patience within you, I
yeah.
think is so amazing. But the fact that also your story now is encouragement to other people that may feel like I'm not seeing nothing yet.
Hmm.
It ain't happening yet.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
It's whew, don't get me started, man. There will be times, and I had a lot of times where I was working my job, and I'm seeing people that I know personally from undergrad and from theater competitions I did, booking left and right,
mhm,
films, TV shows, Broadway, cruise ship ensembles, and things
mhm.
like just booking left and right. And I'm just like, man, I know I could do that. Like, and it's hard not to compare yourself. It's like, man,
Yeah.
I'm working this job, and God's like, it's not your time yet.
Mhm.
It was not my time. I shouldn't have. It's easy to feel like, man, why can't I do that, or why am I not doing that? And it just wasn't my time. And 2021 was my time to
When
shine.
you did the Old Navy commercial, right?
The Best Buy commercial.
Best Buy commercial. It
Yes.
wasn't Old Navy, people. He did the
Mhm.
Best Buy commercial.
Yes, I did a Plenty commercial that just came out. That was my first commercial. I did two short films, and I did a bunch of UGC or user generated content for Fresh Clean Teas, and those ads are all over Facebook and
Mhm.
TikTok and Instagram. Um, I did. I started doing print ads. I never thought I could do print.
You better model.
Did print for Mattress Firm. Did a commercial and print for Can-Am
Mhm,
motorcycles. Like my agent was putting me to work, and still I was constantly auditioning. Um,
mhm,
and one thing I appreciate about one of my instructors when I started taking the classes during the pandemic was she was like, Marcellus, as an actor, you will be auditioning way more than you're working.
mhm,
So to become a great actor, you need to become a great auditioner. You need to
mhm,
understand that you won't book everything. You need to put your best foot forward for every audition, but you won't book everything, and that's okay. That's part of the business.
mhm.
Nobody had ever broke that down to me before. Nobody.
Yeah.
Another instructor, he told me, Marcellus, when you go in for an audition, as soon as it's over and you leave, do not think about it.
Mm,
Think about your next audition. Think about whatever else you got going on because you don't want to harp on, man, I should have made this decision. I should have done that in there. Oh,
that's
dang.
good.
You sit up here worrying the rest of the day or night, thinking like, man, oh, I really hope I book this. I really hope I get a call back. And after that, When I get an audition, I go in there, I do my thing, and I leave. And
Yeah.
there's a lot of times when I book something, I forgot I even auditioned for it. When I get a call back, I forgot I even auditioned for it because I'm
Mhm.
so. Of course, I'm going to appreciate the moment when I finally do, but
Mhm.
I escape from that because that can be a very confusing place. It could bring you down,
Yeah.
being in your head like that. It can make you question yourself. It can make you question God.
Yeah.
Move on. You, you are an actor. You're going to be auditioning for a while. For as long as you act, until you become one of those offer only huge megastars, you
Mhm.
will be auditioning. Become a great auditioner. One audition will lead to the next one. Don't harp on what you just did. Do
Mhm.
your best, and what's for you will be for you.
Mhm.
So that's another thing I've picked up from taking classes and getting training and getting advice from experts and people in the industry. And
Mhm.
it's all beneficial and practical, and it works out.
Okay. So as we're kind of wrapping up, I want to
Mhm,
make sure the people they get two practical things that they can take away, and then one spiritual thing. So one of the questions I have as far as practical is finding reputable people to get training and classes from.
mhm.
Where should they look for the people that's not just scam artists, but
Right.
reputable people?
What I would say, what I did was I asked my friends who were actors,
Mhm.
who did you study with? Look at their resumes. Look where they studied. If you know any agents, ask them. Um, there are a lot of boutique classes that are not respected by anybody. And
Mhm.
what I would do is ask around, get on Google, get on Instagram, look who's commenting, you know, ask the people who, ask anybody who you know took the class or just ask around. But what I did was ask my actor friends. I started one of the places I studied was LA LA Playhouse.
Mhm.
So followed them on Instagram for a while
Mhm.
just to see, who's in this class.
Yeah.
And I'm seeing the people in this class on TV.
Yeah.
Like, wait, it's something special going on over here.
Mhm.
This is where I need to be studying. So that's what I did. When I started doing commercials, I asked my agent, what's a good commercial class to take? Because I sent her a bunch of stuff I found on Google, and she was just like, no, this is who you need to go to. So
Right.
I went to Judy Kane. Great, great courses. Great teacher. She has a book and all that. Totally beneficial. Learned a lot of stuff um, because commercial acting, and I didn't know, it's totally different. TV, film, theater, it's a whole other monster. But once you get that training and you get it down and you know what to do when you go in
Mhm.
for a commercial audition, cake. So definitely have some intuition, ask around, do your research. Google is free.
Right.
Look at their website, look at their Instagram, follow up on anybody they're featuring on their website as far as who's booked what, because they like to do that. When they have a former student book something, they will post it. Look at who's
Mhm.
booking from that class. And so that's what I did. Definitely.
Mhm. Well, follow-up, because you mentioned this all throughout this, was your agent. So, reputable way of finding an agent, or what steps does a person need to take in that way?
Okay, so you can do it the old school way. Most agencies have a submission link on their website. Back in the day, you would mail it in. Now you can
Mhm.
do it online. So what you want to do is research the agency first. Make sure they're legit. They're not one of those people that are gonna charge you money to be in their agency. That's not what agencies do.
Mhm.
Agencies look at they look at your headshot, they look at your resume. I didn't have a reel at the time, but most of the time they want you to have a reel. to see your body of work.
Right. This isn't an IG reel. This
No, 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 no.
these
You're
are
real.
clips, right. I just
Calculation,
people just
yes.
making stuff up. This is
No,
not an
not
IG reel.
your Instagram reel. Please don't ever send your agency an Instagram reel, unless it's a real,
Right.
your work. But yeah. So traditionally, you could submit your headshot and your resume and your reel to an agency. I did that for a while, got one hit back, and it didn't work out because they ended up being a scam agency. They were asking for money, and I was like, this don't seem right. And God was like, "Nah, I got you. Don't worry about
Right.
that. You can do it that way." Another really good way is if you're in LA or New York and you have Actors Access. There's a resource on Actors Access in the tools section on the homepage at the top. You click tools, and you will see something called Talent Link. Talent Link charges you $30, and for a month, they send your headshot, your resume, and your Actors Access profile to a bunch of agents. So the first time they charge you $30, they do it for a month. Anytime after that, they'll charge you $20. The first time I did it, no agencies hit me up. I was like, cool. But I know I got something. I know I don't have a reel right now, but my headshot's bomb. My resume is nice. The second time I did it, when I had to pay $20, that's when I had 5 different agencies hit me up. It's like, where was y'all at in the first month? Because like y'all had me thinking I wasn't the boy, I wasn't the man. Like y'all had me thinking I didn't have talent. But the second, that was likely just God. Like,
Right.
like, I'm gonna see if you really believe in me and you have that.
He sent you options.
Because that first time you telling me y'all sent this mug out and that resume for a month and nobody was like, hey, this kid nobody. Now again, 2015 Marcellus would have tried that for a month and be like, man, I ain't never doing that again, man. Yeah, ain't nobody gonna book me, don't no agent want me. But 2020 Marcellus was like, man, I ain't worried about that. Here, $20, cool. You saving me $10, whatever. Here, we're gonna do this again because somebody want me. God was gassing me up. God was like, look, man, you that guy. Like,
come on,
do it again, Marcellus. There was nobody but God. God had built my confidence up. So yeah, I did it again and got hit up from 5 agencies and got to pick through which ones I want to respond to on Actors Access through the Talent Link. Those agents send you their message. Now they don't have your contact information. This is all done through Actors Access. So it's up to you to respond to them. And when you respond to them is when you give them your real contact information. Them responding to the Talent Link is just them looking at your stuff and figuring out, this is somebody I might want to represent. Or, I'm interested in representing. So what I did was just research each one.
Yeah.
And I looked at, what they had to offer. And I chose the one that was best for me to respond to. I only responded to one of them. All the other ones, I just, I researched them. It didn't feel right. God wasn't telling me anything. The one I did respond to, we had a FaceTime meeting. We met. She gave me a test script to self-tape myself. I sent it back in, and she signed me. So
y'all been rolling ever since.
Rocking and rolling, yes.
Okay.
But yeah, so those are the main 2 things I would say. Technology is on our side these days. So if you have Actors Access, which you should, and you are in the LA area right now, Talent Link only works in New York and LA. But as soon as you get to Los Angeles and go to your Actors Access profile and do Talent Link. And if it takes you more than one time, it took me more than one time. If you don't get anything the first time and God's telling you, you're talented, right? Like, don't worry about that. Do it again. Do it again. And boom, there it is.
Okay, the final question. And I have to ask this because we are always going to experience these times where it's like when we're alone with our thoughts. What do you do when your thoughts, like you were saying a little bit earlier, when your thoughts don't line up with what God is telling you?
Mhm.
What would you tell the people to do?
In those times, and it's very hard to do, um, to combat those thoughts. The enemy is slick. The enemy is so slick. And what I would do in those times, and I still have moments like that where I'm like,
Me too.
yeah, after January, although I had that faith, there were moments where I was just like, did I make the right decision? Like, am I not good enough?
Mhm.
But God was still keeping me,
Yeah.
and I got another audition, and booked that. So it's just like you gotta dust it off. There were times where I would sit with the feeling.
Mm.
I would ride that emotion out for a day, sometimes for a couple days, sometimes for the whole week. I'm in a
Mm.
mood, and I'm like, man. So you can either ride that emotion out and bounce back. You can blast some music in your ear like I do. A lot of times I will put on some gospel or I put on some Stevie Wonder. I have a playlist, um, this really inspirational playlist of songs that I plan to play again when I feel like I finally made it. It
Mm.
inspires me. So music, it's a form of therapy. I will blast that music until that music is inspiring me to get up, whether that's my gospel playlist or my inspirational playlist or my favorite Stevie Wonder. I will wear that out and wear the emotion out, or I ride the emotion out. We're only
Mhm.
human.
Yeah.
And sometimes you can't do it. You can't just dust it off. It don't work like that sometimes. Sometimes that monkey is on your back and it's like this. And it's like, yo, you feeling bad right now. What you gonna do? Ride it out. And as you're riding it out, pray to God.
Yeah.
Pray to God. Cause one thing, and this is so fundamental, but also so profound. Ask and ye shall receive.
Mhm.
Pray. Pray for God to get that off of you.
Yeah.
And he will.
Yeah.
Believe it. Pray it, pray for it to get off of you. Believe that it's gonna get off of you. And God will knock that off of you. And you'll be
Yeah.
sitting up the next week like, why was I tripping?
Right.
But that's just the work of the enemy. He's slick, man. He will tap you on your shoulder and be like, hey, you know you're not good enough, right? You know you're a little too dark to be trying to be an actor.
Mm.
You know you're a little too chunky to be on
Mm.
TV. Like nobody gonna book you, Marcellus. You're a little thick, you know.
Mm.
I'm just like, and a lot of times it'd be like, you're right. But God is over here like rubbing your shoulder, like, hey, you okay? You all right?
Mhm.
So it's a constant battle, but faith. That's all I can say. My most common prayer is, Lord, please continue to strengthen my faith. Please
Yeah.
continue to reinforce my faith because, man, I don't care what I'm doing. I don't care how hard I'm working. If I'm not believing in God to carry me through all that, it ain't gonna work.
Yeah.
But that faith coupled with grinding it out and doing the work and doing everything in your ability, doing everything in your everything that's under your control, as long as you're
Yeah.
doing your part, God is gonna do his part.
Right.
God is gonna do his part. There were so many times where I was expecting God to make something happen, and I'm not even over here. I'm not auditioning. I ain't taking no classes. I ain't talking to no actors. I'm not picking the brains of my actor friends. I'm not doing anything but sitting over here hoping and wishing that God is gonna do something.
Mhm.
Do the work, and God's gonna do His part. Do
Mhm.
your part. Do everything in your ability, and everything under your control. Do do what you can do, and he's gonna do far and above,
Right.
far and above.
Oh, well, thank you so much, Marcellus, for
Yes.
spending this time. Where can the people find you out on the internets?
You can find me on Instagram at maybe Marcellus, one word, MaybeMarcellus. Also have a Facebook page, same name, maybe Marcellus, one word. YouTube, maybe Marcellus, one word. And yeah, that's where you can find me.
Yay. Well, everyone, this was Marcellus. He was talking to us about acting and singing and entertainment and basically how God just took him on his journey.
Yes.
So thank you. And you all just stay tuned. Watch this whole episode, share it with somebody, share it with the ones that you know are really wanting to get into this industry and share it as an encouragement to them. And just look out for all the other ones that are coming out too.
Yes.
Bye.
Peace.